All right, Ray, as much as I don't want to talk about politics, I think we actually have to a little bit. So we have Trump who just won, but we need to really talk about not necessarily the good things, the bad things, but what we really think is going to happen to the car market because of the new policies that he's going to put in place, the regulation that he wants to have, tariffs. Tariffs is a big thing. So what things do you think are going to be big changers for the car market just because of policies that we think, at least from what he's saying, he's going to put in place? And I just want to point out real quick before we get into it, this awkward cheering picture of Elon Musk right
Yes,
behind
yes,
Trump.
yeah.
Oh,
If I jumped up at like that, I would show a bit more belly. Uh,
we have a wardrobe malfunction that's going
yes.
on right there.
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, yeah, tariffs are a thing that were spoken about. Um, will they happen, and to what degree will they happen? How will they impact the industry if they do happen? Well, if the tariffs do happen, then the cost of vehicles, um, of popular vehicles in this country, will go up dramatically. So it'll get more expensive for people to buy something than rather than less expensive. If the tariffs that were spoken of are actually put into place. As far as regulations are concerned, I think you would obviously you're not going to see the government handouts for or subsidies to encourage people to buy electric vehicles continue. I think those will fall by the wayside, which will impact legacy manufacturers because it'll make it harder for them to sell their electric vehicles. Um, but perhaps they will cut back EV production even further. I would suspect that cafe requirements for gas mileage and things of that nature will be frozen into place or relaxed for a decade or so that you would continue to see internal combustion engine vehicles being produced well into the 2030s and perhaps the 2040s, where we didn't expect to see that at all in the past. And then certain things like the cars regulations that the FTC wants to impose to force dealers to treat customers in a more transparent and fair manner. I think you'll see those go by the wayside. And and so ultimately, if tariffs get enacted, the price of vehicles will go up, and the amount of deception and fraud that many dealers participate in today will just continue into the future because there won't be any rules and regulations or enforcement to prevent it, in my opinion.
So what I'm hearing is it seems like a net negative for car buyers going forward. And to be honest with you, I have to agree with you. So I know. So there's a lot of people who have supported Trump. I mean, as far as me and Ray are concerned, we're not going to talk about leaning either way. We're here for the car market. This is what we're talking about. That we don't want to have any kind of political conversation whatsoever. We are here to make predictions on the car market, see what is going on behind the scenes, what things are coming into place, and then we commentate on that. That's what our job is here on YouTube, and this is why people watch us. So that is my preface for all this stuff that we're going to talk about here. But in my opinion, I do believe under Trump, our economy probably will do better than what's doing now. I think there's going to be a push to have lower rates. We've seen this that even when the Fed has wanting to raise rates when the government, I mean, when the economy was going really hot, Trump during his administration pushed against that, and we got rates lowered back. You can if you're not sure about this, go back and look in December of 2018, and it was the taper tantrum in the stock market. Look about all that. But Trump was able to get rates pushed lower, and I think he's going to do that this time again, because he believes that lower rates stimulates the economy, which is absolutely true. It's going to put more money in the hands of people who want to spend money and want to have more debt. And what this is going to do is it's going to have people buying more vehicles. But here's the problem. Manufacturers have learned that they can make more money the fewer vehicles they make and the more higher margin products that they make. So if people are more apt to buy higher margin products with this money and these low interest rate that they're going to have access to with lower rates, then it's going to create a higher demand for these type of products. And when you have a higher demand for these type of products, price is going to go up. And we haven't had a period of time that's long enough, in my opinion, to have prices really come down enough. You haven't seen enough pain in the market on the car dealer side, on the auto manufacturer side. I know we talk a lot. Nissan's having a hard time right now. Stellantis is having a hard time right now. They are lowering prices right now. But if you come in and 6 months from now, 12 months from now, we don't have a long enough period to where, okay, the pinch has been there because rates are staying higher for the time that we need for prices to come down. You're really you've had a Band-Aid that's been put on this inflation problem for however long time. And it's almost, I won't say comical, but it's very interesting to me that there are a lot of people out there that think Trump's going to come in and fix everything, where he's going to stimulate the economy and also bring prices down. In my opinion, it's very difficult for you to do both things. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'm saying that it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to have the economy grow and have more money in people's hands and have lower interest rates, but also have prices of expensive vehicles come down. Because once people have more money in their hands, once they have more buying power, they're going to use that buying power to buy more expensive vehicles. And then you basically tell these manufacturers, okay, you can keep making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 trucks because people are going to buy them.
Well, and then if you look at European vehicles, BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and others, that if there's going to be tariffs placed on those, which will ultimately raise the price of them to the American consumer. Now, the concept behind the tariff is to encourage the manufacturers to build more plants to produce more vehicles here in the United States. That's great, assuming that it works. The issue is, until they can get the facilities built where they can actually be manufacturing these vehicles, it could be a couple of years, 2-3 years. You don't just say today, gee, we need to have a factory in wherever and that it's open tomorrow. They're not. All the planning involved. So even if you're talking about it today, you're still 2 years away, 3 years away from actually being able to open that facility and produce vehicles there. Well, between now and then, with the tariffs, the price of new vehicles is going to go up. There's no way to get around that. If you're going to put a tariff on vehicles that are built in Mexico, if you're going to put a tariff on the vehicles that are built in Japan or in Europe, ultimately the prices are going to go up while you're waiting for those plants to come online, so that the prices could then go down when they're made here as opposed to being manufactured somewhere else.
All right. Well, a lot of you might not realize this, but this is a brand new channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, and let us know what you want us to talk about. Yeah. And tariffs, I mean, it just, prices are going to go up for things that have any kind of outsourcing connection to them at all. And this is a lot of the auto space. And I understand the point behind it. Bring production here, right?
Yeah.
Make more jobs, stimulate the economy. I love it. I love it. Short term, at least, it's going to make prices go up. And I'm interested to see how people who were thinking that Trump was going to come in and fix everything, once if prices do go up because of these things, I want to hear the defense behind that. Just I mean, you know what's going to happen, because if it was if it was the Democratic Party that came in and prices went up after they were elected, it would be all okay. Well, they're terrible, and no matter what political side you're on, it's going to be the other side's fault, no matter what. And it's just there's so much drama involved in this, and I hate it so much. I'm so done with it. Yeah.
It'll be an interesting time. Regulations will be adjusted. Um, One of the things that Zach and I spend a lot of time on, and we hang our hat on, was calling for the FTC to be able to bring about the cars regulations in regards to dealer practices, sales practices, and along those lines. Because
Do you think that's off the table now?
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, and how can it become off the table? Well, they could just say to the FTC, "You're not going to enforce it." Okay, and so there are certain aspects of what will happen that will not necessarily be in the consumer's best interest. Um, we already know in many states where there's rules and regulations that are already laws that are already on the books, that if there is no enforcement, it doesn't matter that there's the laws or the rules and regulations. So my suspicion would be is that there, even if the Fifth Circuit Court says that the cars rules can be enacted, which my guess is they wouldn't come to that conclusion, but let's just say they did for fun, that uh, there would be an emphasis placed on not actually enforcing those new rules and regulations. So my major concern is not that prices will go up. Okay. My major concern is that um, consumers will be impacted in a negative way because we know what dealers do now, what dealers have been able to get away with. And if we can't enforce the new rules, then it just gives dealers carte blanche to continue doing what it is that they've always done, which is negatively impacts the customer.
Yeah, and that's what seems like is and for me, I'm a business owner. Look, but I come on here, I'm on YouTube, and I'm for the consumer. I'm trying to give you behind the scenes look of what the car market looks like. Try to give you tips to buy cars, to negotiate against dealers. I am for the consumer when I'm on here. But I will say regulation is something that as a business owner I don't like. In a lot of cases, I don't want government involved in anything that I'm doing as far as running a business, telling me what I need to do, how I need to make my money, or whatever. But in this case, with the FTC, with this CARS rule, I do think it was actually a net positive for the whole system. It's a net positive for dealers who are trying to do the right thing. A dealer like me is actually a great regulation because I tell the customer before they even get to my property how much the car is going to be, and it's transparency, and it's not something that's common in the auto industry, and that's one big regulation that I thought would be very helpful, both for businesses trying to do the right thing and for consumers that want more transparency in the marketplace. And I'll be very sad that it doesn't come to fruition because of less regulation. But in just about every other guard, as far as me running a business, I like less regulation. So I can't tell right now at this moment if it's going to be a net positive, net negative for the car market. I know for the players involved in the car market that are trying to make money, it's going to be a net positive because they're going to be able to make more money off consumers who don't know things. But for the consumer, it's going to be a negative, and that's my opinion on it. As far as what direction it's going to send the car market, I don't think it's really going to have an effect on pricing or price point. It's just going to have an effect on the transparency. The biggest things are going to be your tariffs that I believe will cause prices to go up. I believe the economy is going to run a little hotter. Interest rates are going to go down under Donald Trump. So I feel like those are going to increase the price points of what your manufacturers can charge for your vehicles, what your dealers can charge for your vehicles, and then really, I mean, at the end of the day, probably one of the biggest things that's going to immediately affect the car market is your what your allowance for EVs, your regulation on EVs, and because I believe that if you take that $7,500 tax credit, if you take any of these tax credits away from a manufacturer like Ford, I think that's going to be a big burden for them, and it's going to be even harder for them to sell their EVs. Tesla, maybe it won't have so much of an effect just because they're such a leader in the space, at least in the US. But for a company like Ford, a company like GM, it's going to be detrimental to them for you to take that government assistance away. And I think it's going to be very, very hard for them to sell any EVs in the space when they don't have that kind of assistance coming from the government. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm so done.
Okay. Well, we'll do this again next week.
All right, you end the show, Ray. I'm done.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been another battery interrupted edition of Car Sense with your friends Brandon and Ray.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, man.
But this is one instance where I feel like regulation actually helps. I think we just lost Ray.
Yeah, you lost the video. Hopefully, you still have the audio. The camera went dead.
Well, I'll go to full screen real quick for a second.
Okay.
But it